This Halloween season, we're focusing on the haunting remains of Levi's advertisements from the past, ghost signs. I'm Tracy Panic, historian at Levi Strauss & Company and director of our archives. The ghost signs are the remains of hand-painted advertisements on the exteriors of buildings. As cities grew across the American West, buildings became an obvious choice to place advertisements. Levi Strauss started by sending out salesmen with flyers. Those flyers eventually evolved into catalogs, and by the 1920s, Levi's turned to buildings where they could create great big signs. He wanted to include some important information: the name of the company, Levi Strauss & Company, and the name of the key product, copper-riveted overalls. The graphics on those painted advertisements typically included our two-horse trademark. It was a symbol of strength. Another common addition was a guarantee that we had early on: a new pair free if they rip. Many of these ghost signs can still be seen across the American West. One is Eureka, Utah, in what was historically known as the Tintic District, where gold, silver, and even lead was mined. The main street in Eureka still has buildings that date to the late 1800s, and one of them is a former Golden Rule store, and on the side of that brick building is a Levi's ghost sign. Another location is Dayton, Nevada. This is close to Virginia City, where the Comstock silver lode was discovered. Dayton is proud of their Levi Strauss sign. It's a reminder of their rich history. It's also the location where Marilyn Monroe filmed her final film, The Misfits. She was wearing a pair of Levi's in the film. Last summer, I visited Woodland, California to see a Levi's ghost sign. Historically, Woodland, California was a farming community, and when I visited there, they were harvesting tomatoes. It reminded me of what must have been going on decades ago when that Levi's sign was bright and new. The sign advertises Levi's all-important overalls and includes the guarantee, a new pair free if they rip. In a small town called Fort Bidwell, there is still a Levi's sign painted on a wooden building. The local legend is that it is the oldest advertisement Levi Strauss ever created. The sign covers the wall that used to be the Henry Kober's mercantile store. We have records in our archives that Kober's was a retail customer of Levi Strauss as early as 1909. We have a photograph in the archives from Lordsburg, New Mexico. There's a man, and behind him is a sandstorm. The building says blacksmiths and wagon maker. And then just below that on the roof, Levi Strauss overalls. Why would they put it on the roof? Because it's just adjacent to the railroad track, and people going by could easily see the Levi's sign. Ghost signs looked a lot like this hand-painted wooden sign in our archives. They had the name of the company at the bottom, our two-horse trademark, something that customers could look for if they wanted a genuine pair of Levi's. On her many trips to Steamboat Springs, Colorado, Roberta Sodia remembers seeing very colorful Levi's signs.
Me and my husband have been driving to Steamboat Springs, Colorado off and on for 50 years. On our way in on Highway 9 from Denver, we would spot the many yellow and black signs advertising Levi's at the FM Light and Sun store in Steamboat. Our first stop was to shop and buy our favorite pairs of Levi's 501s. FM Light and Sons opened his clothier in 1905 in a town that desperately needed a clothing store.
Here in San Francisco, we're only a few miles away from our original headquarters building. This is the number of our headquarters building that dates back to 1906. It's on Battery Street, just like we are today, but it is in the financial district. And if you walk down Battery Street and you look around the skyscrapers and the tall buildings, you can still make out on the corner of 98 Battery Street the word Levi's. By the 1930s, painted advertisements on the sides of buildings were eventually replaced by billboards. Billboards became especially popular because they were just as large as the earlier building advertisements, but you could replace them regularly. Levi's ghost signs may be faded and in disrepair, but they're still a great way to get the word out about the Levi's brand. Next time you find yourself on a road trip somewhere in the American West, keep a lookout. You might be lucky enough to spot a Levi's ghost sign. Thanks for joining us for another episode in the Levi's Archives.